You're listening to Sports Radio Detroit. Well, I start today's Parsons and Slow on Sports Radio Detroit and Alien X Radio with a heavy heart. Fred will no longer be joining us here on the show because he passed away doing the Mowmow challenge. Rest in peace, Fred.
I'm not dead. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
There you are, Fred. Thank God. Whew.
We've been talking for several moments. I don't know why you thought I was dead. I don't know what a Mowmow challenge is. What? I only watch the internet for life hack videos, so I don't have any concept of what this is, but I can tell you how to hang a pot from a rafter with just a single string.
Well, this is both quite relieving and awkward because Kyle's going to be over in 20 minutes because I thought you were dead, and he was going to take over as co-host of the podcast.
Fine, I understand that. You guys have been down that road before. Go with what you know. But what I don't know is what the Mowmow challenge is.
And Fred, I keep forgetting you're not on Facebook, so you're not like part of society because this Mowmow challenge has been all over Facebook, and on top of it, it's been on all the newscasts, like all the newscasts where like, are your children at risk? That's a hot topic in the news. They love to scare you about your kids. All right, Fred, let me. I'm glad I got to you before you came across the Mowmow challenge, watching Alex Jones or Joe Rogan or something.
I'm assuming it's videos, right? It's videos.
Yeah. So the Mowmow challenge is it's this thing that is edited into like YouTube videos for kids, like Peppa Pig. Or like those Fortnite things where people watch people play Fortnite on YouTube.
Yeah, an 8-year-old opens toys and he makes $1 million a year.
Right. So, your kid is on YouTube Kids, and you trust it because it has kids in it. And
yes,
they're watching Peppa Pig, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Fred, while I'm explaining to you, Google Mowmow. It's this very creepy-looking, almost looks like The Grudge type picture. And
it's an emaciated Elaine Bennis.
Correct, or the kind of looks like the chick from The Shining with bigger eyeballs, but mixed with The Ring.
It kind of looks like if Fran Drescher never got the motivation she needed in life.
That's true. It's like if Fran Drescher was visited by 3 ghosts on Christmas Eve and her future took a different path. Anyway, long story short, in some of these videos, this ghost-like figure,
Mowmow,
either tells kids to do bad things, or it scares kids, saying Mowmow is going to kill you. She'll come at night. In the morning, you'll be dead. Unless you text this phone number on WhatsApp.
Okay. Okay, that seems like an easy out. I would be texting.
Well, except for the fact that, you're a kid on the internet and it's saying, "Hey, I caught you, and I'm this vengeful ghost, and if you don't text me on WhatsApp, I'm going to kill you and your parents." So
so I just text. Mike, what are you saying? I don't understand this. I just send a text, the whole thing's solved.
Oh, no, it's not, Fred, because then it becomes like this episode of Black Mirror where this allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly, where this number texts you back and tells you to do things like small things at first, like I don't know, jump up and down.
Make a treat for your neighbor, like nice things.
Right, and then eventually it graduates to, jump off your roof or slit your wrists or turn on the gas on your stove.
Hold on. A little confusing here. You told me I would avoid dying if I text Mowmow on WhatsApp. First of all, I need to get WhatsApp. I'm not familiar with that also. I feel like it's probably an app.
Yeah. It's essentially a texting app that you use your Wi-Fi instead of your phone number for.
So it's for like poor people in libraries,
right? Or people who are cheating on their spouses, stuff like that.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on. What happened to Snapchat?
I don't know. That became pretty mainstream. So, anyway,
so I feel like that's where you hide out in the open.
On Snapchat.
That's what I would do. Like I
yeah.
don't know, but I don't know what. Here's what I'm saying: if you're cheating on your spouse and you download a new Messenger app, I feel like that's a red flag. But if you're cheating on your spouse and all of a sudden, like you're using Twitter DMs, that's not that weird. You already have Twitter,
Right. Well, I figured we would do our infidelity seminar on next week's show because now I've got to warn the kids about the Mowmow challenge. So, of course, Fred, this is sparking a huge panic. Like I said, all over my Facebook, about 10 times a day for the past week, there are parents posting screenshots and videos of this Mowmow challenge, warning parents to watch out for their kids.
And these are screenshots that they took themselves. They saw them in the videos and took them themselves. It's not like they would just recycle other screenshots that were produced by other people just in an effort to spread the word, even though ignorantly and arrogantly it might not actually be a thing. So these are actual, like, mined themselves screenshots from YouTube videos that these kids were watching.
No, it's the same screenshots reshared. Fred. See, you need to get on Facebook because I feel like I spend 65% of the show trying to bring you up to date on what's going on in society. So yes, Fred, it's all over my Facebook feed. It was the top news on my local 10 o'clock news on Wednesday night. It was on the Today Show. So I said, I'm curious about this. I'm a grown adult. I ain't afraid of no Mowmow.
Right, you text the number. I
tried to find the number, and the only numbers that come up are numbers for Japan, Mexico, and one other country. I go all over YouTube and I look for Mowmow videos, but all I can find are videos of people explaining Mowmow and not the actual offense itself, which leads me to one of two conclusions, Fred. Number one, that this is not as big of a crisis as the internet's making it out to be. Or B, the kids have finally passed me up on technological savviness because I cannot find Mowmow for the life of me. I feel like Mowmow's ghosting me. I'm kind of getting offended because it seems like this Mowmow is looking for everyone except me, and I can't get a hold of it.
I found the number.
Are you going to call it? Why don't you call it?
I don't have the app.
Oh. Well, last time I did the Mowmow challenge, it says start a podcast from your basement, and now here we are.
So this ends up in suicide like we all knew it would without the challenge.
Right, exactly. But I mean,
hold on, I'm just trying to break it down. One last question before I fully understand this thing.
Sure.
What is the challenge part?
Well, the challenge is that the number, allegedly Mowmow, text you with small challenges that escalate into you hurting yourself or someone else. Even though there have been no reported injuries or deaths due to the Mowmow challenge, it's not stopping people from freaking out about it.
Well, I'm freaked out that you think that if there was a murderous, what word are we using? Ghost? Is that a safe one?
Yeah, I would say ghost.
Cool. Phantom is what
Entity.
I'm using. So, yeah, if you because these kid videos, they start at 0 views, and then somebody in the comments puts the word first, and then you blink, and they're at 1 million views.
Yeah. Well,
so a lot of people would be dead. Like, if this was an actual thing, dumb, like kids who are fucking stupid, like, everyone would already be dead. So that's how you know it's not real, because no one's dead.
Right. Well, and the scary thing, Fred, is that the kids aren't supposed to say anything about it, but I think this is more a scare for parents than for kids. Like, obviously, it reminds you to make sure that you know what your kids are doing online, but it reminds me of two things from when I was a kid, Fred. Number one, I remember I was like 10 years old when I first got my first email address, and I got that letter that said, or I got that email that said, forward this along to 25 people or else this ghost will come for you in the night.
Who gave that to you?
I don't remember. I think it was like some kid I went to school with. He's like, what's your email address? It's like, oh, cool. We can email each other back and forth. And all he did was email me a bunch of chain letters. Speaking of which, if I'm still friends with this guy on Facebook, I should defriend him.
Yeah, no, I hate that guy. Also, when I was a kid, here's how the internet was explained to me. You and I have talked about this in other entities of programs. It was explained to me, little baby Manfred, do not tell anyone your real name. Do not tell anyone where you live. Do not tell anyone any friends or family members' names. Do not at any point give out any personal information to anyone. That includes your phone number or your WhatsApp number or your numbered number. I don't know what other numbers there are.
Right.
But like it's not that anymore. Now it's like you got not only do you have to put your name and where you're from out there, but you have to put like every moment of your entire existing life if you want to get like the fame and celebrity that comes with it, which everyone yearns for.
Well, I remember when I was a kid on the internet, Fred, my mom would say, don't post a picture of yourself online because someone might like recognize a tree, do a whole bunch of like Interpol detective work, and come kidnap you because they know where you are. And now we got Facebook and everything. But, I mean, look, things are scary when you're a kid. And this is how, like, deep-seated childhood fears take hold. And
Did you have a deep-seated childhood fear?
Well, here's the thing. You know, this Mowmow thing kind of reminds me of the whole Bloody Mary thing where you would, you
drink?
What's that?
Like the drink?
No, you never heard of Bloody Mary? You go into a dark bathroom and you look in the mirror and you keep saying Bloody Mary until her ghost appears in the mirror.
How would you see the mirror if it's dark?
The fires of hell or whatever's backlighting Bloody Mary. I don't know. But
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wow. Maybe this is a Michigan thing because I thought everyone knew about Bloody Mary.
Is it like the Boogeyman?
Kind of. I mean, have you ever heard of the movie Candyman?
Yeah, I think maybe. Is it a horror movie? Because I probably didn't see it, but
yeah,
I think
it's a horror
I know
movie.
what it is.
But you never heard, maybe it's called something else, but yeah, Bloody Mary, you'd sit there in the mirror and you'd say it a bunch of times, like 15 times, and either you scratch your face, she scratches your face, or she appears in the mirror and pulls you in. Now,
wait, like red rum, red rum, red rum?
From The Shining?
Isn't that what you're talking about, where you say red rum?
No, you say Bloody Mary.
I think we had something similar, but I think you said red rum.
And then what would happen if you said red rum over and over?
Well, of course I never did it. I wasn't a fool.
Well, what did you hear about other people? Because there is always a brother who knew someone at another school that this happened to.
Yeah, he freaking died.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, look, as a 34-year-old man, I know Bloody Mary is completely bogus, but you know what? I'm not doing it, ever.
I mean, yeah, you will.
No, I won't.
No, you'll do it.
Hell no, I'm never doing it.
I mean, what if you needed to do it?
I mean, why would I ever need to do it? Like, do I need it to renew my driver's license or to register to vote? Like, what situation would ever arise in my life where I'd be required to do Bloody Mary?
You don't want to have to give me your man card?
No. You know, I don't believe in man cards. A man card is for homophobes who are afraid they're gay.
Yeah, that's why I still have mine.
Yeah, I gave up my man card when I decided I wanted to be free to order my drink by color.
It's a really good definition of a reason you'd have to get it.
Yeah.
I gave mine up when I started ordering my fast food via the app.
What, DoorDash or just any app?
No, I literally, whatever place I go to, I have the app, and instead of talking to the teller, I do it on the app.
Why? You know, how come I can't say McDonald's 15 times in the mirror and for it to appear? That'd be dope.
It would be dope.
Yeah. Well, okay, so, you know, as scary as the Mowmow challenge is, and as
I'm not scared.
Scary as Bloody Mary was for me as a child, I would think that Michael Cohen would have had a scary week this week, even though the guy didn't really seem to have a whole lot of emotions when he was forced to testify in front of Congress on
He was not forced. He volunteered. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, okay. Well, Fred, you were watching this thing. You were watching.
I watched all 6 hours of it.
Yeah, you're watching this thing like it was the Super Bowl. So
I loved it.
Why don't you give the recap on it?
So what had happened was Michael Cohen, former personal lawyer of Donald Trump for like 15 years or some shit, he was watching a YouTube video and then he had to text this WhatsApp number. So then after he texts the number, he said, "I dare you to go and spill the beans in front of all the representatives of the United States of America."
The Russian president challenge. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So Michael Cohen shows up and he writes this 20-page, and it's 20. I read the thing. It was like a 20-page, like I am Michael Cohen. these are the things. So the things were like, Trump and Russia, not sure, but here's all the reasons probably. Trump and Stormy Daniels, here's the deets. Trump and everything. He put them all out there. All the things he did that were wrong, he put out there. He said he tells Forbes he has this money, but then he tells insurance he has this much less, and here you go, he's a fraud. Okay, cool. So then he goes in front of this panel of everyone. They're all there.
The Oversight Committee.
Yes, but it's like there's 50 of them. I have no idea how many there is, but there's...
I mean, everyone's on a committee in Congress, but
yes.
This particular one was called the House Oversight Committee.
Yes, and there's no sick days apparently on that day because they were all there.
Not when you're curb stomping somebody. No, you don't want to miss that.
Only half of them are curb stomping, and the other ones are setting up the curb for Donald Trump. So as Michael Cohen sits down, and by the way, there's like a handful of people in the whole world that you don't want to go toe to toe with in a courtroom setting. One of them, Michael fucking Cohen. Like he knows procedure. He's the most fucking articulate and like he has this environment down.
Right, but I mean, what exactly did Michael Cohen have to gain or lose in this situation? Because he's going to jail anyway.
Only 3 years, though, and that's not even a real thing. So, and he's not in jail yet. This is his farewell tour.
He goes to jail in May, I think.
Yeah, he's got like 2 months to party. And here's how he's going to party: by sinking the fucking ship of the President of the United States while he's staying up all night in Korea watching this. So he goes in front of this committee, and the Democrats are like, hey, can you tell us about fucking taxes? Can you tell us about... like his kids doing weird shit? Can you tell us about his charity? Can you tell us about like alleged like efforts to just raise his public persona? Can you tell us? And he's like, yeah, here's a bunch of answers. I'm real articulate. I'm prepared. Let me give them to you. But then they would switch. So you'd have a Democratic question, then you'd have a Republican question, and then here are like some Republican questions. Hey, Michael Cohen, why are you a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Cohen. I know on good terms that you're a lying, sneaky, no good, low down, dirty scoundrel. Rebuttal. Well, and this is the whole thing. This is the whole balance, right?
Well, and here's how
it went up for 6 hours. No, go ahead.
Here's how these things work, because I've had to watch a number of these, and essentially what happens, with the Hillary Clinton one, they go to testify in front of whatever congressional committee, and you can almost kind of predict what people are going to say based on their political affiliation. So the Hillary Clinton Benghazi one, the Democrats sitting there asking a bunch of softball questions to exonerate Hillary Clinton, and then the Republicans it's almost like holding someone's arms behind them and just punching them in the stomach over and over. The opposition party, pretty much the only aim of these things is to get your soundbite on the national news. Same thing happened with the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. When Brett Kavanaugh was testifying, the Republicans were giving him a bunch of softballs, and the Democrats weren't even asking him questions. They were just kind of dressing him down and grilling him.
That's exactly what this was.
Yeah,
and there's this like juxtaposition of like, the Republican Party would be like, Michael Cohen, you lied about this, you lied about this, you lied about this, you lied about this. All these things involve Trump. And then he would say, yes, but you do realize that Trump was also lying. So, like, the guy that you're trusting, I was that same guy. Like the thing that you're berating me about is the thing you're celebrating this other dude about. So, like, you guys really need to find some fucking perspective here. And then, is Mark Meadows his name? The
guy who was called a racist by Rashida Tlaib.
Oh my gosh, this guy's terrible.
Yeah, so the guy who brought out the African American employee of
that's
Donald
where I'm
Trump.
going.
Yeah.
So he brings out this gal, and I can't tell you her name or what she does or where she's from, but she is a black lady. She's a lady of brown or black color, depending on how you look at it. And he says, hey, Mike, I got a gotcha moment, dog. He says this lady here, I don't know if you can tell by looking, but she is black. And she says Donald Trump's not racist, and she's worked for him for 10 years, and she never would have been fooled into working for a racist. And then Michael Cohen, without missing a beat, Michael Cohen says, dog, my dad's a Holocaust survivor. I also would not have been knowingly tricked into working for a racist. And Mark Meadows, like, as going to drop the mic, has to stop and catch it. And that's how this whole thing was.
Lynn Patton was the woman's name, and she worked. She worked her way up to a high-level job in one of Trump's real estate companies.
Sure, he's got 45 of them. He's got 45 people at that same high-level job. So then the whole point I'm trying to make here is it was like everyone that was like Michael Cohen was like, I am ready for all this dumb shit you're about to say. And it was like a round of tennis. He had a return for everything, and I couldn't have imagined him coming out any cleaner on the other end of this, and not legality wise. Like legality, he's going to go to jail for a minute, and that sucks. But 3 years is not your entire life. He's going to come out with the book deal and with the movie and with the TV. He's going to make off like a fucking bandit for this thing. And what he's going to be, hey, I screwed up for so long, but how you remember me then is not how you remember me now. And the United States of America loves redemption stories, and that's what you're going to get here out of this Michael Cohen thing. This could not have been handled more cleverly or perfectly, in my opinion, from my observation.
Yeah, well, and I guess it just depends on, how the Republicans are able to return back, because Republicans are poring over every moment of the tape of that hearing, and they're going to find any way to turn anything Michael Cohen said into perjury because he was under oath. And I'm watching this thing, and you're texting me, Fred, and I'm like, I don't know what the aim is here because I don't really think that any of this stuff is going to have an effect one way or another on Trump's presidency, because even if they started impeachment proceedings, they wouldn't be over until after the re-election bid. And honestly, if Donald Trump gets voted president again, whatever happens to the country is what the country deserves. But from what I understood watching it, all the analysts are saying that, Democrats are trying to lay the groundwork for impeachment. Republicans were trying to get Michael Cohen to say something untrue under oath so that they could attack his character in defense of Donald Trump and saying that he's perjuring himself. But I found, speaking of Mark Meadows, and he's a congressman from one of the Carolinas. I don't remember if it's North or South Carolina. But
they're one and the same in my book, Mike. I've always said that. I said, as go one Carolina, goes the other. I've always said that. You know that.
From Panthers country. He brought up Miss Patton, and he's like, see, here is a African-American woman, and she doesn't think Donald Trump's racist, because one thing white dudes like to do is they like to ask, like, one member of a race or a sex and, like, think they speak for the entire delegation. So, like, oh, this one woman speaks for all black people. Donald Trump isn't a racist. And then Rashida Tlaib, congresswoman from Detroit, she gets on the mic and says, look, the fact that you use this woman as a prop is actually a racist act in itself. And then Mark Meadows came back and is like, strike that from the record. Strike that from the record. I'm sure you saw it. And there was a back and forth. And eventually Rashida Tlaib said, well, no, I wasn't calling you a racist. I said, if someone does it, like she backed off, which I'm surprised because she's a pit bull. But
that's how those people are, Mike. Pit bulls.
Democrats?
Yeah, Democrats. Hi-yo.
Yeah. So, but
just went a little Mark Meadows there. I don't know if you picked up on that.
So, but I mean, look, okay, I don't know if it was racist, but it was definitely tacky. It's almost like when you say something ignorant and you go, well, some of my best friends are black. I don't know if it was necessarily a hateful maneuver on his part, but it was definitely tacky. And he's a weird dude. He was a birther dude. Do you remember when birther was like a thing? Like he was like one of those dudes. Like he's like a creep dude. Yeah, it said. I looked him up. It said he's one of Trump's closest companion or closest allies in Congress. But I mean, here's the thing: Trump's a scuzzy dude, and he's surrounded by scuzzy people. As long as you're on Trump's payroll, you're probably a scuzz bucket yourself. So I just find it so interesting when scummy people go after scummy people. And that's exactly what's happening now. Michael Cohen, he was Donald Trump's slimy lawyer for a very long time. And now that he's on the outs, he's speaking out against the slimy president. And, I mean, after a while, Fred, you know, you start to see a theme. And everyone's, you know, you got Paul Manafort that's going to the clink. And, you know, Roger Stone, who's facing charges. And eventually you got to stop screaming fake news and saying to yourself, okay, this guy is surrounding himself with criminals. You know, he's not a good guy, and he's not being unjustly crucified. Maybe this guy is a little slimier than your average slimy politician.
I just think there's no doubt. And I think this weekend, I'll take a couple quick minutes to wrap this thing up, but I think this weekend, or this past week, was a prime example. Like, Donald Trump for the second time went to North Korea this past week. Like, and he didn't go to North Korea to, like, sign some shit that was set up. He didn't go to North Korea to leave with the result no matter what. He literally just went to say hi.
Well, he went to try to make a deal, and no deal was reached, and he left.
But that's not his job. His job is to be the fucking president. Making deals is whatever fucking diplomat you send over there. So the thing that's really fucking weird about it is he goes over there, and you think if you're sending in the president of the United States, that's going to close the deal. But how are you going to go to North Korea and be like, hey, you know the one thing that legitimizes you as a country, your nuclear fucking weapons? Let's have those. Let's just take those out of the game. And what we'll do is we'll let you hang out with us. No one's going to take that fucking deal. Like, that's a terrible deal. So, like, what is even the point of him going over there to even start talking? Here's how surprised I am that he failed.
You don't seem surprised at all, Fred.
No, I'm not surprised at all. Like, they didn't even leave it like a broken promise. Like,
right.
Like, they left just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go.
All right, so I guess just try not to launch any nuclear weapons, and maybe we'll take some sanctions off.
And he walks out the door, and he does that thing where he kind of leans back. He's like, "You sure?"
Right.
You sure? Because and that's how kind of like fucked this whole thing is. Like,
he stands there fidgeting with his keys, like, you know, he
hasn't driven in years. He hasn't driven in fucking years. Like, and who knows what's really going on? And I think that's where the question like really sits in with me. And I'm not a conspiracy guy, and we're going to talk about Alex Jones next segment. But like, I start getting really weirded out. It's like, why are you trying to hang out in North Korea so much? Like, what are you really doing in North Korea? Because you're not really doing anything as far as anyone that's on the up and up can tell.
Honestly, you know, I think he's doing with North Korea, and this is probably as Pollyannic as I'm going to be about this president. I think he saw it as an easy yet high-profile deal to make, and I think he was just going for the low-hanging fruit and then saying, see, look what I did. I took this murderous regime that, although has been at odds with the United States for decades, has been no threat. I have made them an ally. And that's what I think he was doing. I thought he could get it done. I thought he could give off I think in his mind he could give off an appearance that while everyone is back at home trying to figure out if he paid off Stormy Daniels, he's off trying to end a 60-year war. So, you know, he's not convinced. He's not concerned with all this fake news. Stormy Daniels, is his former lawyer a scumbag type stuff. He's out there actually making deals, and both instances made him look pretty dumb.
His state of emergency got voted down.
Well, did it get voted down in the Senate? I know it got voted down in the House. I would think it would pass the Senate, though, because Senate's mostly Republicans still, unfortunately.
Republicans voted against it in the House.
Yeah, right. So
how stupid. That's stupid.
Right, it is. But
hey, your country's in a state of emergency, according to you. Why are you hanging out in North Korea? Stupid.
Right. Well, and I mean, and here's the thing to wrap up the Michael Cohen thing. You know, eventually the people who are associated with Donald Trump are going to start to see a pattern. If you hang around this guy, you're going to go to jail. And I think that, you know, for some reason, people have blinders, okay? They see the scuzzy people around Donald Trump selling him out. But for some reason, they don't see the scuzz They see Donald Trump like above the scuzz. Where what do they say? If you sleep with dogs, you get fleas. These are all flea-bitten dogs, and Donald Trump has as many flea bites as the rest of them. He's just the president of the United States, and he's protected by the office right now. So what his political opponents are doing is they're going around to everyone else, and eventually they're hoping that they get closer and closer. The more people within his circle either go to jail or take plea bargains or testify in front of Congress.
What's Bobby Mueller doing right now?
Bob Mueller? I think he's still investigating.
He's been doing that for like 4 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. I mean, allegedly, he's close to releasing. He's close to releasing his investigation. Problem is the attorney general that's appointed by Donald Trump. The attorney general has the power to decide whether to pursue charges on the investigation or not, which I'm not too optimistic because the guy was appointed by the man being investigated.
Sounds like a conspiracy theory. And that and so many more when we come back and I tell you about how crazy it was to watch Alex Jones for 4 hours smoke weed with Joe Rogan in my first ever Joe Rogan experience podcast viewing experience.
It's Parsons and Slow, Sports Radio Detroit, AlienXRadio.com.
Hi, my name's Brian Pearson from Pearson's Piece on SportsRadioDetroit.com and streaming live on KRadioBroadcasting.com. You can listen to the show every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and can be found on streaming services such as iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play.
Looking to reach new potential customers? SRD can help. We work with any size business and budget. Plus, our amazing listener base grows every day. For more information on how your business can advertise with us, feel free to send us an email at sportsradiodet@gmail.com. That's sportsradiodet@gmail.com. SRD, Detroit's podcasting home. So, Fred, another Sunday, another award show with very little controversy, which means there's very little to talk about. The Oscars were on, and really the only buzz I saw was everybody wondering if Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga were in love, because I think everyone forgot about a thing called acting. They put on that performance for A Star Is Born or whatnot, and everyone's like, ooh, look at Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. They look so in love. Yeah, because they're actors, and they just did a movie where they were in love, and they're singing the love theme for it, and they're at an award show for professional actors who are good at their job. It's called acting, people.
She literally won an Oscar. Literally.
Right. And everyone's saying,
"Fooled ya." She says, "Fooled ya."
Right.
Turns out, actor is not just a title.
Right. And the thing is, everyone sleeps on Lady Gaga's talent because she came out.
No one does that.
Not anymore.
No. She has an Oscar and a Grammy. What's the other one? Does she have a Tony? Does she have what's left?
No, she's got Grammys. But it's weird. Every time Lady Gaga, I remember when Lady Gaga sang the national anthem a few years ago, and it's like, oh my God, Lady Gaga can sing. I think a lot of the public sleeps on Lady Gaga's talent because she started off as kind of a weirdo. So then when she looks like a normal person, everyone's like, oh my God, Lady Gaga's actually talented. So
she's the reverse Katy Perry.
Yes, you're right. She started kind of out there, and then she went more mainstream, and Katy Perry started mainstream and went out there. So
also, you don't get the national anthem at the Super Bowl by not having any talent. So if you thought Lady Gaga couldn't belt out the Star Spangled Banner, you're dumb. You're legitimately dumb.
Right. So that's really my only take on the Oscars. Which
I have a take.
Yeah,
hot take.
Let's hear it because I'm impressed you found a take because, like I said, except for Spike Lee, getting all pissed off that he didn't win Best. There really was no buzz around these Oscars at all.
I did watch the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
What?
Do you know the Cohen Brothers movie? Are you familiar with the Cohen Brothers?
They did some weird comedies or something.
Go watch this. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It's the best movie I've seen in 10 years. That's not even hype. It's that good.
Okay.
With that said, so I'm watching these Oscars, And there's some people that are winning awards, and then before the Oscars, there's a buzz, there's a carpet, and they roll out this carpet, and it's red. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And what they do is they interview people, and they're like, yeah, let's talk about love and peace, and some political stuff, and we'll talk about the nation. I'm like, yes, I'm super in. I love love, I love peace. I'm actually super aligning with you on a lot of this political stuff, and yeah, I do think the nation needs a lot of love. That's a really good point. Guy in a tuxedo dress. I'm in a weird fucking spot as an adult to where if I identify most with the guy in the tuxedo dress on my political views, that I'm really concerned about my political views. Because tuxedo dress guy weirds me the fuck out. But I do agree that we should be kinder to each other.
Yeah.
Like that's a tough pill for me to swallow, that all you people that I think are fucking gross and weird share the same ideologies as me. Because that's how I left watching the Oscars.
Well, Fred,
I left thinking...
Maybe you should be nicer to people you think are weird, because they're not as different from you as you may think.
I don't think tuxedo dress comes in my size.
It could be made. Anything can be custom made.
I can't even tell you that guy's name.
Me either. Oh no, I mean, he wasn't a well-known guy, but
you know what he is known for? Tuxedo dress.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone for the most part, people love tuxedo dress.
I did not. I'm telling you, I hated it. I'm telling you right now that I hate tuxedo dress.
Well, Fred, you're doing what that people call evolving, okay? Because, old Fred Slow, Boo Kid on Ricky Lake Fred Slow, would have seen tuxedo dress and said, oh, screw this guy. He's wearing a tuxedo, and he's wearing a dress, and he's challenging my thoughts on conformity, and I don't want to listen to anything he has to say. Now, Fred, admittedly, you were a little weirded out by tuxedo dress, but not weirded out enough to tune out what he said. And when you listen to what tuxedo dress was saying instead of what tuxedo dress was wearing, you discovered that you had some common ground. So maybe if you ever ran across tuxedo dress, you say, hey, I don't really agree with your wardrobe choices, but I like what you said about being kinder to each other. So it's called evolving, Fred. You're not completely there, but you're better than you used to be.
Billy Porter. Can't tell you what he's been in. Don't know what he's done. Have no clue what's going up next. But I agree that it's cool to be whatever lifestyle Billy Porter is, I guess. But like, can't you just not wear a tuxedo dress? Can't you just make your? I feel like your statement goes over better with the masses if you're just wearing regular tuxedo.
Well, Fred, or I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk down to you like I'm really evolved, like I'm the wise man on top of the mountain.
Wait, are you woke?
I am woke.
Okay, I'm ready.
Well, I'm woke white guy, so take that for what it's worth.
Are you going to tell me how he should feel empowered because he made such bold decisions in his wardrobe? Are you about to tell me about that?
No, Fred. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to correct you, Fred, when you said that. I agree with what tuxedo dress said, but could he not wear tuxedo dress? I am going to invite you, Fred, to not concern yourself with what tuxedo dress was wearing, and just accept tuxedo dress for who tuxedo dress was.
It's not a metaphor, Mike. I'm telling you, I just hated the fucking tuxedo dress.
Okay, well, I mean, look, I hate that giant pimple on your nose, but I'm still listening to what you said. I'm sorry, that was a personal attack, and I completely made that up.
Yeah, I don't feel like my zit on my nose bucks gender norms that I've grown up with and love so much, and don't know why we're trying to combat them in a world that has a lot bigger issues, in my opinion. Except I know that those are really big issues, like a small percent of people. Right. So I'm not trying to downplay that. But that small percent of people seems to be like a large percentage of the Oscars for some reason. So you're going to tell me I don't see any of these people in my everyday life, not even 1% of people I interact with would ever wear a tuxedo dress. But now all of a sudden, in the Oscars atmosphere, there are people jealous that they're not wearing tuxedo dress because tuxedo dress is already there. And it's, how 10% of people, girls, can orgasm, but 100% of porn stars can. This is the same thing.
Fred, let me ask you something. If tuxedo dress wore a pantsuit to the Oscars, how would your life be any different than if tuxedo dress wore a skirt?
I'd be like, oh, me and Billy Porter, yeah, we got the same ideas about equality. And
no, you would have never heard of Billy Porter because Billy Porter would have been wearing pants like everyone else, and you wouldn't hear Billy Porter's message of love.
Probably some truth there.
Yeah. You know who's always dropping the truth? And by truth, I mean the opposite, and probably thought that tuxedo dress was the same thing that was making the freaking frogs gay. Alex Jones, how many times has Alex Jones been on the Joe Rogan podcast? And is it sacrilegious for me to say, as a podcaster, that the only Joe Rogan podcast I've seen was that time when Elon Musk smoked pot?
No, because this was my first Joe Rogan.
Oh, your first experience.
Yeah, so I'd seen like some, I'm low-key lying. So I've seen like interview like snippets. This is my first full episode.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Okay.
No offense to Joe Rogan. There's really nothing I could sit and watch for 3 hours, by the way.
Oh gosh, no.
Not that Joe Rogan was concerned about what I think of his podcast, but
well, how many different ways can you have the same conversation with different people? Like, I get you want to talk about hunting, you want to talk about UFC, you want to talk about ayahuasca, you want to talk about, like, I get it. You want to talk about those on it, you want to talk about on it. Like, you want to talk about those same things all the time. Cool. Have those same 4 conversations with 400 people, and you'll get really good at those 4 conversations.
Right.
But this Alex Jones shit was crazy. I've never seen anyone, and I can bellow. I've never seen anyone for 4 straight hours like he did, eventually ended up drunk and high at the end, like just spit fucking nonsense repeatedly, like nonstop, without stuttering, without what I just did. Like, he killed it.
Well,
very entertaining.
Here's the thing about debating with conspiracy theorists. They put a lot more work into being crazy and wrong than you do being normal and right. Like, Fred, if I came to you and said, hey, Fred, did you hear that there's a serum that makes frogs gay? You'll say, no, there's not. That's ridiculous. And then I come up with a whole bunch of made-up facts and a whole bunch of cause and effect, and I say, what do you have to say to that? And you got nothing. It appears that I'm winning the argument, even though I'm just making up a whole bunch of bullshit that's not true.
The bullshit that he made up in full on this episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, I don't really know if that's the name of it. I feel like it is.
It thanks to Joe Rogan Experience, as far as I know.
Okay. So he says, hey, just heads up. I know you guys don't know about this, but because you're not poor, Joe Rogan. But, like, if you were poor and you had a baby, they would tell you it died, and then they would never give it to you. And they is not defined. Keep that in mind.
Right. It's just this. It's just like these shadowy figures.
Yes. So then they would take your baby and they keep it alive for like a week. And I'm not 100% sure why, but then they harvest the baby's organs somehow. He didn't really give an explanation what the organs are used for. But apparently, if you suck the blood from a newborn baby, you can then inject it into your elderly self and it'll prolong your life, a la like a Batman villain, like Raj Ghul. And then, so like, this is a real conspiracy he's talking about.
Did Joe Rogan give him any pushback on this, or was he?
Yes, Joe Rogan was like, how do you know this? And he was like, well, I'm going to do a Southern voice, and I'm going to act like I'm a kind, hospitable congressman from the state of Western Virginia. And I'm like, I'm not even sure that voice makes sense for Western Virginia, but okay. And then he goes into talking about how they'll offer you like hush money because they can abort your baby afterwards. So like if they're like, hey, your baby's stillborn, and unless you like say this like exact like Illuminati phrase of resuscitate my baby, orange juice, milk, dud, lollipop, then they won't do it because you're not in the Masons or whatever. So then they steal your baby away, bring it back to life when you're not looking, because that's a thing that's easily done nowadays. And then harvest your baby's organs only but 7 days later, I guess. And it's because Planned Parenthood wants to make $1 million.
Right. And
what?
so what Alex Jones has done is either he or whoever, whoever's website he frequents, they've put a lot more work into making up this horror story about people's babies being stolen and harvested. than we have put into just saying that's not reality, it's completely made up. Because
so do you feel like babyharvesting.com paid Alex Jones to go and tell this story on the Joe Rogan? By the way,
either that or some weird ass message board on 4chan or something.
At peak viewing, like it was a Wednesday afternoon, like midday, at peak viewing, 130,000 people live on the YouTube, and as the time of the recording of this program, it's at like 4 million views.
Right, which is why Joe Rogan decided to give this wacko an audience. And just about every other responsible news source or responsible website has taken away Alex Jones's access to his audience.
That's what they want you to think.
Right, exactly. Well, and then, I mean, it's a great model, Fred, because Alex Jones sits there and says crazy shit, and he's going to keep saying, they're going to try to silence me. They don't want you to know the truth. And so when they actually do silence him because he's a serial First Amendment abuser and what he's doing is to the detriment of society, he can sit there and say, look, see what they're doing? They're doing exactly what I told you they do. They're trying to shut me up because they don't want you to know the truth. So then his crazy followers, then it kind of makes them dig in because, like, oh, they're trying to keep the truth from us. We better follow Alex Jones wherever he goes and buy these iodine supplements and these ready-to-eat meals or whatever bullshit he's peddling on InfoWars, which is really funny because we've talked about this before, Fred. In a court of law, when Alex Jones's wife was trying to make sure that he couldn't see his kids because, he's a maniac, his lawyer said in official court documents that the Alex Jones is, as you would say, a work. So he actually is sane. He's just playing a character on the radio in order to make a living. But people still, because I'm sure on one of his shows that's on the dark web or wherever the hell people can still get Alex Jones, he probably made up some cover story about why why his lawyer said that, or his lawyer's part of the deep state or something, because once you convince people that they're being lied to, then they're convinced you're telling the truth, and they're going to believe any lie that you tell them. And that is exactly how Alex Jones has built his following.
If you want to become like a really good liar, like you can watch Alex Jones and figure out how to do it. Like there's something captivating about how whenever he starts every story, he starts it like this. Now, I'm not a member of the CIA. Oh, okay. Like
I am but a humble non-member of the CIA.
Now I know from some very important people. What? Who?
Right.
Like, what? Now, I've lived a really exciting life. What? How so? Like, that's how every story starts.
Tell me more.
You're like, dog, you're legitimately crazy. Like, legitimately crazy. And the thing that's so neat about him being crazy is that if you take it in at like entertainment value, it's top tier. Like it is as good as listening to any crazy person on the sidewalk rant, except you don't fear for your safety.
Right.
Like it's that good. Now, if you buy into it, and this is the even like the crazy squared part of it, if you buy into it, the thing is, you're probably crazy too.
Right. And
that's the part that like is really unsettling.
Well, and here's the problem too. Okay, 99% of the population can know you're full of shit and know you're crazy, but that 1% of the population, that's millions and millions of people, and you can make a lot of money selling advertisements to the gullible 1% of the population that doesn't know you're full of shit, or that you can, it's like a cult. You tell people they're being lied to. You tell people they're being marginalized. And if you convince them of that, people will follow you anywhere.
I don't want to be in any cult that Alex Jones represents. I would be in the cult that's like opposite Alex Jones.
Like if The Rock had a cult, I would be all in.
Yeah, the People's Cult? I would be in that.
TPC?
Be a charter member.
Let me ask you something, Fred. Since we're talking about cults, I don't think I've ever asked you this, but I watch a lot of Leah Remini's Scientology.
No, that's weird.
Wouldn't
okay.
Isn't there a part of you that would like to be audited by Scientology just to prove that they can't break you? Just to kind of see.
All right, now when you're saying audited, you don't mean financially. You mean like millivolts, right? Like the religious points of your body audit. Is that what you're talking
like
about?
what happens is when you're audited, they like ask you a bunch of probing questions, essentially to like extract your deepest, darkest secrets, and then they're like, oh. What you have to do because of all these bad things you've done, you have to buy these 7,000 Scientology books, and then they write down all your secrets so they can blackmail you with them later on. I would love to just sit there in these Scientology like brainwashing rooms and just like not be broken and just like short circuit the whole organization.
What you're describing is the Mowmow challenge.
Dang it! Well, I texted her during the break, so she told me to come to New Mexico and smother you with a pillow. So rest in peace, Fred.
New Mexico. So there's this national emergency of the southern border. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, which top Pentagon officials are saying is not an actual emergency.
Well, I mean, that's their opinion,
right?
But this thing I saw the other day said, it's going to cost roughly $17 billion from just the state of New Mexico alone, so you'll have to add that to the other states. But because of that, we won't be able to, replace the windows at the Air Force Base. We won't be able to mow the grass at the observation stations for them. And it's like you start looking at this thing break down, and you're like, there might actually be like a weird conspiracy here about this thing. Like there might actually be something up to where if Alex Jones wasn't talking about harvesting baby parts, if he was talking about like misappropriation of like government funds in an effort to like undermine like the comfort and well-being of I might buy into that one.
Right. Something just as nefarious, but not quite as scary and sexy.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. So, Fred, speaking of conspiracy theories,
No.
It's funny. For years and years, everyone's been wondering what is going to be the downfall of the New England Patriots, right? Is it going to be when Brady retires without Belichick? Is it going to be when Belichick retires without Brady? Is it when both of them retire? I don't think anybody foresaw Robert Kraft getting busted at a brothel as being the possible downfall of the Patriots.
There's no way it's the downfall. You don't for 1 second think that this is the downfall of the Patriots.
Well, the only scenario I can see is if this thing becomes so you're doing some weird thing with the microphone and no one can see it. That's why I'm giggling. Because Robert Kraft getting busted at a brothel is no laughing matter. The only scenario I can see where this brings an end to the Patriots' run is that this thing gets so out of control that the NFL forces Robert Kraft to get rid of the Patriots because he's such a PR nightmare, and then ownership changes. The Patriot way changes and the dynasty's over. Because here's the thing, Fred. When a lot of people heard the original story about Robert Kraft getting busted in a prostitution sting, a lot of people thought, okay, 70-year-old widow visits a working girl, and he pays for a little bit of attention. No big deal. That's his business. But I would agree with that if this working girl was there on her own volition. But it turns out this was a human trafficking sting, which makes it much worse. If it was like a college girl doing it on her own, that's her chosen profession, okay, it's gross, but whatever. It's your own business. But when you start to think these could be minors or people who are forced to do this against their will, it becomes a lot worse.
So you feel like the lead has actually been buried. So this should not be a story about billionaire who visits prostitution. This should be a story about human trafficking and how terrible it is in the country and the epidemic that it is.
I mean, at least I'd like some attention brought to that angle, yes. And of course, it's been big news for a very long time. But
when's the last time me and you talked about human trafficking?
You and I?
Yes.
Probably never.
Probably never. How many times have we talked about the New England fucking Patriots?
About every January for as long as we've known each other.
We legitimately, like 2 years ago, had this conversation where it was, hey, since the Patriots traded Jimmy Garoppolo, they're done for, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because that's how, like, the most the most minuscule occurrence in the team, and we're like, let's bury him, let's do it. Like
they started 1-2. It's over.
Yeah. But for real, the story is this poor young gal got tricked in Cambodia into thinking she was going to come over and work at a textiles factory, and all she would have to do is pay back the travel expenses. But then whenever she got here, the only textile she was working was hi-yo.
I was going to say, I'm waiting to see how you turn this into an innuendo. It's probably for the best that you weren't able to. But this got me thinking, Fred, and I don't think there's any way to track this statistically, but I wonder what the percentage is of people who are into prostitution on their own free will to people who are forced into it. And I would imagine people who are forced into it are probably in the majority.
I saw Pretty Woman and I saw Taken. Taken was much better.
Taken was probably much more realistic because, I think a lot of people think of the pretty woman as being the prostitute scenario, but really it's probably Taken, or it's somebody who's hooked on drugs and they get not even mixed up with a human trafficker, just a pimp who keeps them addicted to drugs and scared. And so, a lot of people say the world's oldest profession, no big deal. Consenting adults will do what consenting adults want to do. The problem is that most of the time these adults are not consenting.
Do you even think they have a massage license?
Maybe. Because, I don't know, Fred. That's a good question because you would think they would have a massage license to give them legal cover, but having a massage license would also make them known to the authorities. And, I was having this conversation with a couple of friends of mine this week. It seems like a place like this. It seems like everybody in town knows where these creepy massage parlors are. And, there's rumors that they're human traffickers, prostitution. If everyone knows where these places are, how come authorities aren't busting into them all the time?
I feel like they do. Like, I feel like regularly, like, these places get broken up or taken down or whatever, but, like, does that necessarily mean, and I know it's going to sound like pretty obvious, but, like, if you have 100,000 of something and you stop one of it, you still have 100,000 of that thing. Like,
that's true.
Like, what's the point? Like, and I'm not saying there's no point to stop, like, drug users or prostitutes or whatever these crimes are, but, like, there kind of is no point, right?
Except for the individuals who are forced to do this against their will. I guess liberating them would be the point. But and maybe this is on a federal level. But if I'm the police force in Riverview, Michigan, and I know that there's an illegal trafficking brothel in my city, I know as a police officer who would like to clean up my community, I'm at least going after that place that's under my jurisdiction. But I don't know. Maybe if it's human trafficking, maybe it's a federal thing, and maybe that's where the numbers become so big it's overwhelming. And like you said, what's the point? I guess the main point is liberating individuals from this terrible existence.
We're not going to solve this one. 2 quick sports questions before we go. 1, do you like Jason Witten going from the booth back to the Cowboys?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I already think it's stupid that they allow players to walk right off the field into the booth. Tony Romo is an exception, not a rule. And maybe it's because of my profession. Something about that rubs me the wrong way. Like Jason Witten, he's given like one of the most coveted jobs in the industry right away. It's like, I'm going to go back to playing football. So I'm going to say no. I don't like it.
Breaking news here on our program, but you probably heard by the time you're listening. Bryce Harper signs with the Phillies, 13-year, $330 million.
If I'm Bryce Harper, I like it. If I'm a Phillies fan, was it 13-year?
Yeah.
If I'm a Phillies
39.
fan, what's that?
It takes him to the age of 39.
Yeah, if I'm a Phillies fan in the next 7 to 13 years, I don't like it.
Seems like a deal though. $330 million. To me, originally my number was 12 years, 420. So this is, in my opinion, a deal for the now NL East contender Philadelphia Phillies.
I mean, this could be that Bobby Bonilla contract, which I think the Mets are still paying Bobby Bonilla like 20 years after they signed him.
I don't think.
I see this as being the new Bobby Bonilla.
He's like Bobby, but here's the thing: Bobby Bonilla's deal is still going to be going on after the Bryce Harper deal expires in 13 years.
Right. So if I'm Bryce Harper, I like the deal. If I'm the Phillies front office, 5 to 10 years in the future, or a Phillies fan, I don't like it.
Good show today.
Hey, you did so good.
Aww.
Thanks for listening, Paul's. Bye.
Good job, everyone. GG.